Clarissa here. We are back in the limelight. This is another extraordinary edition with another extraordinary guest. Today, we're going to be talking about unexpected awakenings. So we're going to be doing that with Laurie S. Jacobson. She has an wild story to tell, and it's an empowering one as well. So that's what, you know, how we love empowering stories here. So here we go. There she is, Laurie Jacobson. She is the author and a certified health coach, I should say. Good morning to you. I think you're in Virginia, are you not?
Yes, I am.
Is it very cold?
It's, well, we were supposed to get like 10 feet of snow, not really 10, but we just got some ice, like 2 inches of ice. So we dodged the bullet so far.
Wow. Okay. Well, yeah, I've been watching what's going on. And I remember when I was a kid in Philly and Jersey, those winters were brutal. But I'm in Phoenix, Arizona right now, so it's a little warmer here. Anyway, let's dive into you. You're a writer, and obviously you are an on and off meditator, which I want to hear more about, and then a certified health coach. And you're fascinated by the Buddhist teachings. It started out with a marriage when you were back in Pennsylvania. You'll tell me the story, and you were living sort of off the grid, if you will. And you had an abusive husband that you had to get away from and weren't quite sure how to. So give you a little segue there. Why don't you tell me a little bit about that backstory?
Yeah, I married this man when I was pretty young, was really fascinated and inspired by him. And eventually when we married, we moved to my hometown of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Really,
and
girl.
And at that point, he started to decline and change in a lot of ways, became very critical and almost cruel. And I thought, well, you know, maybe we could make this better. You know, women, we always try to make things better, fix things exactly, you know, work hard at a marriage to make it work. And then I just suddenly got very fed up with living in the city, and I wanted to move out to the country. It was my dream to move out to the country. And at that point, the marriage was sort of on the rocks. And I said to him, well, you can either come with me and we can keep trying up in the country, or not, and we're done. So he came with me, which was probably a huge mistake that I let him come with me, because things just deteriorated more. Up in the mountains, I was very isolated. I had no support, and he got a lot worse. And he just kept devolving into this cruel, narcissistic abuser. And I was beaten down. I had lost my sense of self. I got very depressed. I was the only one earning a living because he refused to work. And I was so desperate. I tried all of these conventional methods to feel better. None of them worked. And then I found out about this Buddhist monastery in West Virginia. And I thought, why not? I've tried everything else. I was always interested in the Buddhist teaching. And I just signed up to go. And it ended up being.
And then it was yo-ho.
Yeah. Oh, it changed my life.
Nam yo-ho. Awesome. So the first steps, I mean, it was close to where you were living, and you went.
Right. I just I signed up for a retreat. It was just a regular retreat. I signed up, got in the car. It was several hours away, so I drove there. It was very remote. It's in the forest, and it was only supposed to be like a 10-day retreat. And we got snowed in the middle of it. And you can imagine like this huge snowstorm in the woods in West Virginia mountains. And
Providence.
It absolutely was, because they warned us. They said, well, there is a big snowstorm coming, so if you have some place to go, you better go now. And I said, no way, I am staying, because I felt something was starting to shift within me, and I wanted to see it through to the end.
And so do you think it was the, community that was there? Was it the work you were doing in meditation? Was it kind of all of the above? Was it obviously being away from him, because you never heal in the same, place that you're being hurt in, right? You have to get away from that. So
No, it was everything. It was just all of these different scenarios just work
Aligned.
together.
They aligned.
They did. They aligned perfectly for me at that particular time in my life, and I am so forever grateful for that happening. The meditation was powerful, the silence was powerful, the community of people were so kind and supportive, particularly one man who is a major player in my book, who happened to be the monastery cook who befriended me, was very instrumental in my healing and my gaining the strength I needed and the clarity I needed to realize that I didn't have to put up with that abusive marriage anymore.
You wound up staying there 22 days, is that right?
Total of 22 days. The first trip with the snowstorm, I was probably there about 15 days. And then I went home because, the snowstorm was over, the retreat was over. I went home. I thought things would change. I had changed. And when I realized that they hadn't, I had this incredible urge to go back for another retreat, which I did. And so the second retreat was really the one that did it for me, that really gave me that light bulb moment and that shift in my mindset and in my heart to leave the marriage. So it was 22 days total of both of them together.
And then when you went home and said, "Hey, I got to talk to you,"
Well,
how that and all the crap you must have gotten for that.
Well, it was really interesting because I went home in a completely different frame of mind. And as soon as I walked into the door, he looked at me and he's like, "What happened? You look completely different. Your face has changed. Like you're just," he's like, "What happened?" And I just said, "You wouldn't understand." I wasn't even going to try to explain it to him. Because it's really a very experiential thing. It's hard to explain it to anybody, and that's why I, worked so hard on this book to try and find the right words to have people experience what I experienced. Because it's very hard to, just tell somebody. But then, I think what he realized and the other thing was he couldn't trigger me anymore. Like, in the past, when I was in this, beautiful, blissful state.
Yeah.
And in the past, he would say something and it would trigger me and I would, fight back or I would argue. And now I was in this totally compassionate frame of mind. I could look at him and say, "Oh, you poor dear man, you must be suffering terribly." And that just amazed me. I was never able to do that. And so he realized he had lost control over me, basically. He realized the jig was up,
How much
eventually.
longer did that last, Laurie, after you went back?
Oh, it doesn't last as long as you want it to. I mean, that's one of the big questions, we had for the monks when we were leaving. The first retreat was like, "Oh, I feel so wonderful. Like, how do I bring this into the real world? How do I go back into my daily life and keep this peaceful, calm, tranquil mindset?" And, because you can't duplicate all the meditation you did. You can't duplicate the monastery vibe, the meditation hall, the people. You can't duplicate that. You have to go back and do in work and deal with the fast-paced society. But if you can just carve out a little bit of time every day for even just a short meditation, that's extremely helpful.
So you continue to practice then? Have you become?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. Not intensively like I did before. It's almost more like I can tell when I need it and when I need to focus on that more and when I don't. So I could always do better.
Yeah, well, we could always, all of us can do better. So for anyone who feels stuck, afraid, or trapped in a life that no longer feels safe or true, What was happening in your life that led you to step into the unknown and travel to a beauty? Oh, you already told me that. Never mind. Sorry, we already did that. I'm just trying to go off the questions you wanted to be asked. So
Yeah,
but we did
that's
that already.
okay.
Why don't we do this? So after you you obviously you separated, you moved out, you moved on. I'm assuming that divorced and all the other things. Where did you go from there? What were your next steps?
Well, first of all, it was just so um, freeing to be able to be myself again.
Yeah.
I just embraced and reveled in the Laurie that I used to know.
Mhm.
And it was this, happy, cheerful, free spirited woman that had pretty much died for a good 10 years. And I was just so happy to just be me again. I continued with my business. Taught cooking classes, taught nutrition education classes.
You also
Um,
had a stint on television with your cooking classes.
yeah, I had a little segment on our local news, and it was called Cooking for Health, and it
Oh,
was fun. It
wow.
was fun. I love to, inspire people to eat healthy and show them simple things they can do.
Right.
Um, so I continued all that, and then, you know, I I didn't give up on love. I didn't give up on sharing my life with someone, and it's funny because, my husband now, because I did remarry, um, when we talk about this, and when he met me and we were dating, and I told him my story, and he said, "Gee, I'm so surprised that, you were able to trust men again and
Mm.
open yourself up to
Yeah.
love." And I just responded by saying, I happen to be the type of person that enjoys sharing my life with somebody. That's important to me. I think it makes me a better person. And so I didn't give up on relationships, but it's very important to find the right person.
Yeah, well, that's therein lies the conundrum. But yeah,
Yes.
no, yeah, and there are so many different types of abuse as well. And I think that a lot of women are waiting for, which is why I love your story, or they're waiting for permission. And because a lot of women don't know a way out. There are places, the idea is to places online that you can go that can, give you a lot of help as to, how to make the plan to get out. But one of the most difficult, I think, scenarios is that women don't get up for financial reasons. And the children, but the children not necessarily, the children come along, right?
Mhm.
But the message there, I think, being just make sure that you always have, financial means, your own financial means, which is really, really important.
I
So
I agree. And people that haven't been through this,
yeah.
they can't understand how stuck you can be because they'll say like, "Well, why didn't you just leave?"
Mhm.
And there's so many complexities around that, and if you've never gone through it, it's very hard for you to understand how
Mhm.
you can just get stuck and want to leave. But when someone beats you down so much and you lose your sense of self-worth and
Yeah.
self-esteem, it's very, very difficult. Plus, the isolation, plus not having family around you, or support.
Yeah.
And it's almost like you try, and then you just sort of resign yourself. Well, this is my life, this is what I have to do. So thank goodness for this retreat. I mean, plus I would tell people to don't be afraid to step outside your comfort zone and make an effort. Not all those efforts are going to pan out the way you want them to, but one of them might. So
I
don't
know
give up hope.
I came an abusive household as well when we were kids, and so I know exactly what we're talking about, which is why I really wanted to have this conversation with you. I love speaking with women that unfortunately have gone through this case scenario, but have overcome the case scenario, because I want other women to know that many women before them have gotten out, and that you too can find a way out. There's always a way out, always a way out.
Always.
So
Always.
after going through that, then I wrote a book about self-esteem. It's called The Self-Esteem Regime. So
Right.
I'm not a doctor, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an Indian chief, but I went through life and it taught me a few things. And so at the ripe old age of whatever I am now, I feel as though the life experience is definitely. We just left one night. My mother, myself, and my sister. My father fell into bed drunk, and we left. And so there's a lot that comes along with that, and the work that you have to do on yourself, like the self-esteem piece and all of that, and then the trust piece again. So I'm assuming that you might. Assuming, I don't know, but have had that trust piece, as your husband said to you. I'm surprised you trust men again.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I just one of the things I found at the monastery was this great big wonderful ball of loving kindness, and when we embrace loving kindness for ourselves and others, it really shifts something in our soul.
Mhm.
And and you realize, like, that's really all there is love. If you just put love out there, like, why would I deny myself a loving relationship? I have to trust. I have no choice but to trust,
Yeah.
and I have to trust my instincts to know, is this a safe relationship for me? Can I trust this man? Now, I knew immediately when I met my second husband that I could trust him completely. I mean, you can just tell, I could trust my instincts. Now,
You attracted that.
pardon me?
I'm sure you attracted that with the work that you were doing.
Yeah, yeah, I hope so. I hope so.
And how long has that been now?
My second marriage, 13 and a half years.
Blissfully happy, I'm sure. So
Oh,
this
it's been
this is
great.
what I'm talking about, that there is always a way out. There is always a way forward. And I love the idea of a Buddhist monastery or a place of faith or a place that you can get away and go to. Or certainly there are shelters and things along those lines. But I love that you thought about the Buddhist monastery. And that you found solace there. I think that's just the coolest thing ever. I'm not going to say I am a Buddhist. I have practiced Buddhism, love Buddhism, and really should have stuck with it a little bit more. But
Well,
sometimes.
some people ask me, are you a Buddhist? And I can't, I'm not going to label myself a Buddhist. A lot of people practice Buddhism as a religion. What I like about Buddhism, I look at it as a teaching. The Buddha is just, his words are so wise, and they're a great guide and roadmap to how to live a happy life.
Yeah.
And if you just want to, in my book, I don't get into the weeds about all the Buddhist doctrines and everything. I just present it. I offer some very basic teachings that touched me. And if you just, want to take a look at some of those, they're just so helpful for living your life.
You remind everybody about the book again. Here it is, Unexpected Awakening, the 22 Days at a Buddhist Monastery That Freed Me from Abuse.
Yes.
Love that. Again, this is the last question, and it's one I ask everyone. You cannot say husband and you cannot say children. Don't know if you have any or not, but you cannot say that. And the question is,
Okay.
in your lifetime up until now, what would you say has been your crowning moment?
Oh, wow. My crowning moment was publishing this book. This was my baby. This was my dream. 20 years in the making. Kept telling myself I have to finish it. I have to finish it. It was so dear to my heart and so important that I put this story out in the world. No question.
Can you tell everybody where they can find the book?
Sure. Well, it's on Amazon. So if you go to Amazon and, search for either my name or the book title, you'll find it. You can also visit my website, which is it's my name, Laurie S. Jacobson. I had to put my middle initial in there. So it's lauriesjacobson.com. And there you'll find other information about me. You'll find my blog with other writings. about my health coaching services, and some more reviews and information about my book. There's a link to my Amazon page also on my website as
Thanks so
well.
much for sharing your story, Laurie. I really, really appreciate that. You don't go away while I say goodbye to everybody and give them the outro. We'll talk to everybody again real soon.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the In the Limelight podcast, intelligent media for the savvy entrepreneur. You'll find my video interviews on YouTube and clarissaburt.com, and the audio version of the interviews you can get wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to connect with me on social pretty much anywhere, and do stay well until we meet again in the Limelight.
I'm still trying to learn how to get out. They changed things over here for me.
Oh, of course.
It would like end the recording, it would be ended, right? Yeah, we're still going on. So I'm going to have to cut all this out.
Oh, okay.
Why they do that? Okay. Anyway, I just wanted to let you know that, in the next week or so, you'll get the links.
Great.
For the video and for the audio. You can do what you'd like. If you would, I'll send you, when I send you send them back to you, you'll see that there are some hashtags you can use that I suggest. And, want to use those, that'd be great.
Great. Wonderful. Thanks so much. This was fun.
Thanks, Laurie. Be well. Thank you again.
Okay, you too. Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the In the Limelight podcast, intelligent media for the savvy entrepreneur. You'll find my video interviews on YouTube and clarissaburt.com, and the audio version of the interviews you can get wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to connect with me on social pretty much anywhere, and do stay well until we meet again in the Limelight.